Hello, people on YouTube who might have happened to wander across this video because you're looking for some other person to review Koloss. Hi, that would be me. Haven't really done an album review before, and this is something I might be doing more of in the future, but why not start with one of the best albums I have heard in a long time, which would be this puppy right here, Meshuggah, Koloss. Now, I adore the hell out of Meshuggah. They are undoubtedly my favorite band. So it's going to be hard for me, but what I'm going to try to do is not just endlessly praise the fuck out of this album. I'm going to talk about some points about the album, besides just going, oh my god, it's amazing, oh my god, you should buy it, which is true, but yeah. So I'm going to start with a track-by-track review, and me personally, I don't like going to album reviews and hearing track-by-track reviews if I haven't heard an album yet. Like, I don't want to know anything about certain details about each song and its structure, so I'm going to put an annotation right there. You can click on it to skip to me just talking about the album in general. But first of all, the first song, Am Colossus. Holy shit. Sorry, I'm going to have to do the praise thing here. Heaviest song I've ever heard in my life. Without a doubt. When I first heard this song, like, a lot of the songs on this album made me fucking fall on the floor. Just flat on the floor, like, in amazement. Because it's jaw-droppingly heavy. The production that Meshuggah did combined with Daniel Bergstrand is just amazing. It's just this freaking slow, like, Colossus stepping on you kind of chunk, like, dun, 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 dun. It's just fucking insane. Before that song, my favorite Meshuggah song was definitely Absen. I Am Colossus is definitely my favorite Meshuggah song now. Just heavy as hell, brooding, like, monstrously heavy. Next song picks up the pace a little bit from, not a little bit, a lot, from I Am Colossus. It's a song called The Demon's Name is Surveillance. This is another highlight of the album. There are many highlights of the album. It's pretty much like you take the song Bleed by Meshuggah and the song I by Meshuggah. You put them in a mathematical equation. I plus Bleed equals The Demon's Name is Surveillance. Holy fucking shit. Yeah. It's just relentless. Thomas Hake really shows off his double bass endurance here. Just non-stop for freaking 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And, like, the patterns, the extended polyrhythms in the middle are just really fucking cool. Next song, Do Not Look Down. This is one of the ones released before the album came out. Fucking jump the fuck up, and you can actually kind of dance to it, kind of groove. Really fucking awesome. Frederick kind of pulls a solo that's kind of like the one from Combustion off the previous album. Kind of like rock and roll, thrash metal style, but with a pinch of the kind of weird-ass tapping sort of style he normally does, minus the tapping, if that makes sense. But really good fucking song, another highlight of the album. Then we have Behind the Sun. This is actually one of the first songs Yanes has written for the album by himself. Actually, it is the first song he has written for the band that made it on an album that he wrote by himself since, God, what was it? Suffer in Truth off Destroy, Erase, Improve. And holy shit, it is haunting as fuck. Catch 33 sexiness. It's like this could have been on Catch 33, but it also couldn't have been because that album's just fine the way it is. But it's just like builds atmosphere constantly all the way through, and it just becomes heavier and heavier. Great song. And then you have one of the best songs on the album besides I Am Colossus. The Hurt That Finds You First. Holy shit. To me, this is the most Absen-like song on the album, and Absen was my favorite album, just overall, for like a year straight. So it's just like, holy fuck. It does the kind of constant snare cymbal beat that Thomas Hake did on their thrash stuff, like on Contradictions Collapse and on Combustion from the last album. But it's just like, it does polyrhythms and shit too. It's like The song is basically reverse thrash metal. That's what I call it. It's like, it goes to the high note and does occasional low notes. So it's like, that's like the main riff. It's just like so aggressive. And the way it ends itself by slowing down and just becoming calming, tribal almost at the end. It's just incredible. Next song is Marrow. Marrow gives me an image with the slidey riffs that it does. And again, no one I've talked to has gotten this image of fucking pink bouncy balls bouncing down a hill. Boom, 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 boom. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know. A lot of people say this is one of their favorite tracks off the album, but it's actually one of my least favorites. Maybe it'll grow on me. It's still a fucking amazing song, though. Fucking Chaos Fear solo, like crazy shit. Although the second solo, I'm gonna get nasty comments for this. It sounds like a ripoff of the Transfixion solo to me. But then we have Break Those Bones, whose sinews gave it motion. Not much to say about that one, except obviously it's one of the first ones released. Had a boring music video made for it, but still like fucking heavy beyond fuck. And yeah. Then we have Swarm. Swarm is just like relatively mid-paced kind of thrashy stuff, and this showcases really a lot of where the album feels like it doesn't have as much polyrhythmic stuff going on as some of their previous albums, which I'll get into in a little bit. Then we come to the penultimate track, Demiurge, which basically, the word Demiurge means a figure that controls and, like, sustains the universe. So kind of like God, basically, because God and really powerful political figures are a very big concept on Koloss. So that track is one of the absolute best on the album. It's an amazing closer for the heavy stuff that's featured on Koloss. It's just like, the riff is kind of Chaos AD, Sepultura era like to start off with, and it doesn't really seem all that polyrhythmic, but then it just pulls like this psycho epic kind of riff in the middle that can be heard on the Koloss trailer. What Meshuggah are actually really good at is making amazing closer riffs. Like, the beginning riff to Elastic is insane. The entire song dances to a discordant system. And the very ending of Dehumanization and the beginning of Sum off Catch 33 is just beyond epic. So yeah, that's kind of, it has a really epic riff showcased in the middle. And then just the way it fades in and out with the creepiest... It has keyboards on it. Demiurge has keyboards on it. And it's not just like, ew, keyboards, power metal. No, it's the exact opposite. It is the fucking creepiest, like, ghostly choral patch ever. And it works so well with the song, but it's scary as fuck. And then after that, the last song on the album, The Last Vigil. Instrumental, kind of clean guitar track, but easily the most beautiful, calming thing Meshuggah has ever done. Excellent closer to the album. Now, for the album as a whole. First of all, I actually want to show you this, because none of the reviewers have actually shown this in their reviews yet, from what I've seen. This is the Koloss poster that you get with the album once you unfold the artwork. It's really cool. If you have the album, the physical copy, which I'd recommend, you can kind of see the whole album art in its full detail by Lumino Kaya. But anyway, back to talking about the album. Overall, the production, I'm going to start there. The production is easily the most perfect thing I've ever heard on a metal record. Daniel Bergstrand and Meshuggah are an unstoppable force. Chaos Fear had the heaviest production I think I'd ever heard on a metal record before this album came out, and that's from '98. It still holds to this date as having one of the heaviest productions, like,
on any metal record to date to me. It's just the supreme heavy loudness, super high gain tone of the guitars in comparison to everything else. It's just a super guitar heavy kind of mix that you get on this album. And the drums, in comparison, they're kind of like taken back out of the mix a little bit, and they're not always completely in pocket. They are a lot of the time on this album. But Thomas Hake said he'd let a few of the mistakes that he makes kind of get in comparison to Obzen, where everything's just dead on. And that's so the guitar tones could shine through, and definitely helps this album out. Like, if the guitar tone could not shine through on I Am Colossus, I don't feel like I would have loved that song as much, because it's just so fucking, the guitar tone just like 50 billion black holes just fucking colliding in on your body. That's how heavy that song is. And the whole album, for that matter. It's just, I Am Colossus is one of my favorite songs right now, so. Like I said before, there aren't as many polyrhythms. It doesn't seem like this album has as many polyrhythmic stuff going on in comparison to Obzen, because what Meshuggah do, like, seemingly 75 to 90% of the time, that's a random number, but is they have Thomas Hake going just cymbal 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they have whatever polyrhythmic groove going on in the double bass that just fits exactly along with the riff. So like Rational Gaze, it's diddy 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 diddy, while Thomas Hake's just going. So it doesn't match up, but it meshes, if you will. In this album, he doesn't do the 4/4 cymbal quite as much. He just kind of lets all the drums go along with the groove. And at first I was a little bit disappointed by that, because I felt like I couldn't get as into the weird rhythmicism that I could on a lot of their past albums. But if you listen to this album multiple times, you will see what they were talking about when the guys from the band said that this could be considered their most complex album to date, and they always say that, and I'm not sure if it really is their most complex album to date, but the polyrhythms going on in the songs will become more apparent with multiple listens. And yeah, just perfect production. Fucking, the polyrhythms are there. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not there, it's just, it doesn't seem like there's as many of them. And all the instruments that the guys are playing are spot on, like always. Perfectly in pocket. Except for Thomas Hake, who's like 99.9% in pocket, because he said he was going to throw a few mistakes in there. And if you listen to a song 100 times, you'll probably find a mistake. But Yanes. I want to get on the topic of Yanes for a second here. His vocals on this album, I feel like, are the best since Chaosphere, which I feel like is his magnum opus for his instrument, which is his just psychotically loud screaming voice. He puts a lot more range in his vocals. He goes a bit higher and lower than he has on some of the past albums, like Nothing, for example, where he just kind of kept this kind of one place kind of roar, and his emotions really shine through. I feel like certain parts of the song Behind the Sun, and like maybe that's because he wrote the song and him singing vocals over it kind of give him more emotion there, because it's his music he's singing over this time. And also on The Hurt That Finds You First, you really just get a sense that he's madder. He's more angry than he has been on some of the previous albums, and yeah, it's just fucking, this is a rage-filled album up until the very end. Up until you get to the last vigil. And then the lyrics, nothing much to say other than they're fucking perfect. Thomas Hake is one of my biggest lyrical inspirations. I mean, the way he uses metaphors to just portray an image that you can't decipher very easily at all, but the message is there. It's just perfect. His vocabulary, his English skills, his manipulating of the English language is unparalleled. He like even speaks English better than some English speakers, so yeah. Really, I don't know how to go into much more detail than this, other than it's a fucking amazing album. If you don't like extremely loud metal, I probably don't have to tell you that you won't like this, but if you're into any kind of metal, definitely check this out. At least listen to it if Nuclear Blast will stop blocking videos of it on YouTube. Listen to a few samples, see if you like it. If you like it even a little bit, freaking buy the album. Anything to support the band, because they're amazing, amazingly talented musicians, and yeah, definitely gets a 10 out of a 10 for me. Not a 9 out of 10, no, 10 out of 10. This is a masterpiece, like many of the other albums Meshuggah have released. And yeah, I'm out.